Hey everyone, this is Mr. Isometric and welcome back to another part of Blender Beginner tutorial series. So in today's video, we are going to texture this table that we made in previous videos. And I'm saying texture and not texture paint because there is a little bit difference between them. Texture painting will be its own separate video. And guys, making this videos takes a lot of time. I do really need your guys' support. So please subscribe and like this video and watch till the end. Share it if you can. And that's being said, let's get started. So as you can see on the screen, I got these two image textures. First is plywood and second is wooden table one 4K. I got these textures from Polyhaven. You can get them from any other websites if you want. Let's begin our texturing process. So in previous videos, we already made two materials. So the first material was the tabletop and the second material was table leg. And the reason why we did that was because I wanted some darker shade to this one and some lighter shade to this one. So that's exactly what we are going to do today as well. So I think I'm going to apply plywood texture to the top one and the wooden texture to the bottom one. So let's just select tabletop like this, and in the shader editor we have on the tabletop section, select the plywood, and the first thing is the color information. Now the color information is to by diffuse, or you can say base color. Now this texture can be called anything, but if you open it up, it should contain all the color information like this. I'm just going to drag and drop it inside over there, and let's plug the color channel into the base color. And as you can see, we got our texture over there, but it looks a little bit weird. It has this weird swaying pattern to it. Now this is where UV unwrapping gets into the display. Now if we go ahead and first make sure that we only have one UV map over here, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to UV editor. Let's remove that. We can select and open our plywood diffuse 4K like this. Now let's go ahead and press tab to go into the edit mode, and you can see like this is the UV unwrap that we have. We can either go ahead and, as we talked in our previous video which contained all the information about UV unwrapping, I can either do a smart UV project like this. Let me just go ahead and disable the overlays for now. Okay, it looks good. Some part looks a little bit weird, like this part. It looks a little bit weird, just a little bit weird, not that weird. Okay, so we can do another thing. We can just select everything, hit U to unwrap, and we can do a cube projection. Now doing a cube projection will make it so that the texture is evenly spread out on every like view angle. And as you can see now, this looks a little bit much more better than previous one. So I'm just going to go ahead and cube project this. So I'm going to keep it like this now, and this is our color information. So I'm just going to make this window a little bit smaller. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to turn on the overlays and let's get out of the edit mode. Now the next texture is let's check what do we have now. We have ambient occlusion. Now ambient occlusion is the corner shadows. In this case, I think it will add shadows near these grains. So let me show you how to add ambient occlusion map. Okay, so just drag and drop ambient occlusion like this. Let's put it on top of diffuse. Let's move them a little bit behind. Okay, now I'm going to add Shift A and let's add a mix color node, which is this one. Let's put that into B, let's put that into A, and with the result of this we are going to put it inside the base color. And as we can see that it has this shadow information. Now we are going to change this from mix to multiply, and I'm just going to increase the factor to 1, and there is a little bit difference between them, and I think we can check the result by just switching it to this. Okay, so as you can see, without ambient occlusion texture it looks like that, and with ambient occlusion texture it looks a little bit like that. Okay, so it just got a little bit of in-grain shadows over there. So this is how you can use your ambient occlusion texture. Now the next texture is I think we should play with the roughness next. So I'm just going to drag and drop the roughness over here, and let's just go ahead and drag this roughness channel into the roughness socket. Okay, there you go. So we just put our color inside the roughness, and roughness will look weird. So apart from color information, everything in Blender should be non-color data. So we are just going to switch our color space to non-color like this, and we are going to make a preview like that. So the way I switched directly like that was by holding down Shift, Control, and then left mouse button. So that way you just preview that node. So shift control and left mouse button on any node and you can preview that. And this is because of the add-on Node Wrangler. So if you haven't turned that on, do turn that on. So now that we have added roughness to our material, we can see that it is not rough on all over the surface. It is only rough near the grains where it should be. So something like that. And yeah, we can go ahead into the specularity and we can increase or decrease it. So I think specularity also gets its own texture. So let me check if we have that. And I think this is a combined texture, I guess. Let me just check this texture out real quick. So if you ever see something like this, the colorful texture, something that is yellow, red and green, like high contrast yellow or something, or high contrast green, unless it is a grass texture. But if you see something like this, it is basically a mask map or something like a combined texture. So you can combine the roughness, ambient occlusion, metallic, all of this in just one texture. And I think this is something like that. So I'm just going to click, drag and just search for separate color. Okay, so the red channel is something, the green channel is something different, and the blue channel is basically empty. So I think this texture, usually this kind of textures are used in game engines, but I don't think we will be needing them. So I'm just going to talk about the next texture, which is normal map. Now Blender uses OpenGL normal map format. Now what is OpenGL? So these are the image somewhere on the screen that shows the difference between OpenGL and DirectX normal map. The difference between them is that their red channel is just inverted. Now you don't need to be worried about that as a beginner, but if you one day like get a DirectX normal map, something like this, and now if I add a normal map like that, okay, now you cannot just directly plug your normal map inside the normal socket like that. It should go through a normal map node, and when you do that, you'll get all the fake shadows. Now this is a free detail texture basically, and also you need to switch it to non-color data as well. And as you can see, without this it looks a flat surface, and when I add this to the normal channel, you'll see that we got a little bit of shadowy bump, something like that. And if I just increase the strength over here, you can see that my surface, it looks a little bit more grainy. And if I decrease this, you'll see that my surface just starts going flat. The thing is, this map is inverted because, as I said, this is a DirectX map. And in that case, what you need to do is just drag and drop separate color. And after that, we are going to add a combine color. Okay. And we are going to plug that into over there. Now, as I said, the difference between OpenGL and DirectX is that its green channel, it's inverted. So I'm just going to take the green channel and then I'm going to invert it. Okay, so I have added the invert color node and I'm just going to plug that into the color socket, and then let's plug that over there. So right now we have inverted the green channel and now it looks much more better, and it is behaving correctly. So my this small details, they are going inside the wood, and the surface, it is staying out. Now, how to tell difference between if you have a DirectX normal map or OpenGL normal map? Well, in some cases you can't unless they just name their textures properly. But if you feel like the shadows are acting weird, then you can always go ahead and try inverting the normal map itself. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, so you won't even need to know if it is OpenGL or DirectX. If the normal map is acting weird, then yeah, definitely its green channel is inverted. So just invert that the way I showed you guys. So I'm just going to plug OpenGL version, in which I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to tone down the normal intensity like that. I think this is one is a good value for this material right now. Okay, so I think those were all the textures that were available for us. Now you can always go ahead and go into the edit mode, and then you can turn down the overlays like this. Let's make our UV editor bigger, select everything, and then let's scale it down. So this will make your wood texture a little bit bigger. So you can always go back to your UV editor and scale your texture up or down. So this looks pretty intense like this. I think I will scale it down just a little bit till over there. And I think this looks pretty good. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And now let's move on to texturing our legs. Now, there is one more important thing, which is you can always have same material on two different objects. So if I now change its material to something like tabletop, it will have the same materials as you can see, and I can again go ahead select everything. And as we are using mirror modifier, we only have to texture one leg. You can apply the mirror modifier and then unwrap four of the legs differently if you want. So I'm just going to hit U to unwrap, and then I'm going to use cube projection. Let's disable the overlays, and this looks pretty good, though I don't like its rotation that much. So I'm just going to select everything and rotate everything by 90 degree, and this looks pretty good. Yeah, I like this rotation, but this table kind of looks boring to me, so I'm just going to add a different texture for this part separately. So let's just go ahead and change it to table legs again. And now the same thing, we are going to go back and then we are going to go to table one. Okay, take our diffuse again. Let's plug that over there. Let's plug it over there. Take the ambient occlusion, put that over there. So let's mix over there, and let's take the result into the base color. Change this to multiply, and let's increase the factor to 1. OpenGL normal map, so I'm just going to put that over there. Let's make it non-color data, and let's add a normal map. We need to put color into color, and we need to put normal into normal. Now let's go ahead and let's drag and drop our roughness. So roughness map over there. Let's make it non-color. For the roughness color, we are going to put that into roughness channel like that. Is there any other texture that we can use? By the way, this is a displacement texture, and I think I totally forgot to do that in over here. So displacement texture is totally optional, but you can still use it. So in the plywood, let me just show you what displacement does. Displacement and height, those two are kind of similar. So you can either put displacement into displacement socket, or you can use it as a bump map. So let me just show you how to do that real quick. So the displacement texture, let's drag and drop it over here. I will just make some room like that. So this is our displacement texture. Let me just make it non-color. So there is a displacement socket over here, and for that you need to use displacement map. So now this will only work if you have high resolution mesh. This will displace the your mesh with the help of texture itself. So I'm just going to put color into the height channel. So let me just show you by zooming in. So this is our displacement texture, and over here, as you can see, this is how you connect it. So make sure that it is non-color data and the color channel is set to height. And we just saw that everything just went dark. You can tone down the scale a little bit like that, and it will actually try to manipulate your geometry. But as we don't have that much geometry, what you can do is, instead of using displacement node, you can plug this into bump map. So we can see that we have a bump node over there. You need to just drag and drop this bump node in front of the normal map like this, and when you do that, it will just automatically get connected normal to normal, and normal goes back into over there. But this time you can also add this into the height channel, and this has added now the fake bump on our material. So if I decrease this strength, I can control the bumpiness, and this makes your material a little bit more realistic in a sense. So you need to control this a lot. Also, if you want higher strength, you need to decrease the distance, or else it will look a little bit weird. So distance is like how intense it is. Even though strength says it, like strength also says that, how intense it is. But assume the strength something as how much it is visible, and distance as how intense it is going to be. So I'm keeping it pretty less intense, and I'm also going to decrease the strength over here like that. So up close, if you are using a high resolution material, it is well and good, but from a little bit far away, it will look pretty realistic. So always add bump displacement or a height map if you have it. It makes your material and textures pop out a little bit more. And also do check some reference online on the wood, because you need to control your specularity a little bit like that. So You don't have to make it zero specularity. So I think just a little bit, because wood is not that specular. We are going to make it something like that. Okay. And also there is one more thing that you should know is something like roughness. So you can control the amount of like how rough is your material even after using texture map. So if you drag and drop it like this, and if you add color ramp, so this is the color ramp node, and if I connect this to roughness, now we have a slider that controls how intense your roughness map can be. This textures, they have two values. One is 0, which is black, and one is 1, which is white. So the 0 means it is 0 roughness, as we can see. Oops, I just removed everything. Okay, so the 0 means that it is super reflective, like it is 0 roughness, and 1 means it is highly rough material. So what this texture does is it dictates some parts as 0 and some parts as 1. So you can control that by this color ramp. So if I just increase this black slider, you'll see that my blackness of the texture is increasing like that. And now the parts are much more reflective. You can see like that it is not very rough. You can also increase how intensity of the roughness like that. You can make this white slider go down, or else what you can do is, if you feel like your texture map, like you don't want its minimum to be zeros, like, so what you can do is you can just click over here and then increase this slider like that. So let me just preview this now. To preview any node, as I said, hit Control Shift and left mouse button. So you can preview your texture like that. And what happens when I increase or decrease this slider? So let me just increase it so that we can see the result more clearly. Now the black area is where it is going to be more shiny. So if I now increase it, you'll see that my minimum roughness is this value, which is 0.279. And if I increase it a little bit more towards the white, then this texture is almost as good as just keeping your slider to 1. So that's no use. So tweaking this values totally depends on your creative vision and what you need. You can also do that with the bump map over here. Every map that is black and white, you can use this color ramp to adjust its intensity the way you want. Now here, if I preview this bump node, and if I increase or decrease it, you'll see that some part it is getting vanished because it is well above this range of 0.25, and it is getting disappeared basically. And if I increase it to white, you'll see that almost I'm losing almost all the details. But you might need this something sometimes. So yeah, do experiment with this. So this is basically the setup of any PBR texture material inside Blender. So let's just go ahead and let's finish texturing our leg over there. So I think we have added most of the nodes like that. I'm just going to go ahead and add the displacement node anyway. Let's add the bump again. Let's plug that over there, and let's put the color socket into the height channel, and let's make it non-color. Okay, it is non-color. And as we can see, the intensity is a bit too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and decrease the strength like that. I'm also going to decrease the distance a little bit more like that. Okay, so I'm happy with this result. If you are not happy, you can tweak with the sliders and get your desired results. So this is how you texture anything inside Blender, and our table is now looking kind of realistic. And even though it is low poly, if you put it somewhere far away like that, it is with the proper and good lighting, it will look really great. This is how you texture anything inside Blender. If you have any doubts, mention them in a comment section below. This project files will be available on my Ko-fi, so do check it out. Link will be in the description below. And if you want to join my Discord server, do join it. And yeah, if you found this video useful, support me by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and sharing this video if you can. Apart from that, I will see you in the next video tutorial. Until then, happy blendering and bye bye.